Good day and welcome back to Scriptures Unlocked. We are now on to Genesis chapter 20. In the previous presentation, we looked at Genesis chapter 19, which outlined the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So this presentation is entitled Abraham and Abimelech. So Genesis 20 opens with Abraham moving from Mamre to Gerar after the events which transpired with the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19. Genesis 20 verse 1 says, "And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country and dwelt between Kadesh, which means holy, and Shur, which means wall, and sojourned in Gerar." And as you can see on screen, the Hebrew script of Gerar's name, it occurs 10 times in scripture. It is Strong's H 1642, and Gerar means a lodging place. And Gerar was a city, a Philistine town, south of Gaza. Viewers, we were not told the reason why Abraham decided to leave Mamre, a place he had called home for over 20 years, to sojourn in Gerar. And verse 2 of Genesis 20 says this, "And Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah." Abraham resorted to the same falsehood that he told Pharaoh out of fear, which resulted in him being declared persona non grata in Egypt. Notice what he told Pharaoh way back in Genesis 12, verse 11 to 13. "And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive." So viewers, it was clear that Abraham was fearful that the Egyptians would kill him for his wife. So he told Sarai to say that she was his sister, which was a half-truth. Notice what he goes on to say in verse 13 of Genesis 12. "Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee." Abraham's deception as to the true nature of his relationship with Sarah resulted in Abimelech, king of Gerar, sending for her to be a part of his harem. This is the Hebrew script of Abimelech's name. Abimelech is derived from two Hebrew words, Ab, which means father, and Melech, which means king. The name Abimelech occurs 67 times in scripture. It simply means Melech is father, or my father is king. Abimelech could possibly be the name of the king, or it could be the title of the kings of Gerar. Just as how Pharaoh is not a name for the kings of Egypt, but a title. So there were two Philistine kings by the name of Abimelech, and there were two Israelites also by the name of Abimelech. So even though Abraham was a man of God, the mere fact that he resorted to lying out of fear, even though he was specifically told by God that, and I quote, "I am thy shield," in Genesis 15 verse 1, it shows the true nature of the human heart and how easy it is for us to return to old habits. Notice what transpired after Abraham told the king Abimelech that Sarah was his sister, and he took her into his harem. Verse 3 says, "But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife." Here again we see that Abraham trusted in his own ability, which again backfired. But God intervened on his behalf by visiting Abimelech in a dream and told the king the truth about the situation regarding Abraham. Notice what we are told in verse 4. "But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation?" Here we are seeing that the scripture makes it absolutely clear that Abimelech had not come near Sarah in a sexual way, so that there can be no doubt as to Isaac's paternity, which is what we'll look at in the next presentation in Genesis 21, where Isaac will be born. Notice what Abimelech said to God in this dream. Genesis 20 verse 5, he said this, "Said he not unto me, she is my sister? And she, even she herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this." So viewers, in this dream, Abimelech pleaded his case to God that he was deceived by both Abraham and Sarah. And notice what God responded to him by saying, "Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her." So here we can see clearly that God prevented Abimelech from ever coming near Sarah in a sexual way. So being omniscient, God knew the truth about the situation. But he also prevented Abimelech from committing a sin against him. And this goes to show that adultery is a sin, and God takes adultery seriously. So much so that he said to Abimelech, thou art but a dead man, because you have taken another man's wife. So God prevented him, the king, from committing a sin against him, which is an indication that God can and will restrain individuals from doing the evil they would otherwise have done. Notice Genesis 20 verse 7. God goes on to say, now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. So God clearly threatened Abimelech and told the king to restore Abraham's wife, or else he would surely die. And this was the first time in scripture that Abraham is called a prophet, and God protected him. Notice what David wrote in Psalm 105 as he spoke about the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who were all prophets. Notice what he said in verse 11 to verse 15, speaking about these prophets of God, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance, when they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it, when they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people. He, God, suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, as was the case with Abimelech. God reproved Abimelech for Abraham's sake, saying, touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. So viewers, after being warned by God, Abimelech was afraid of the consequences of disobeying, and told his people, who in turn were also afraid. Notice his response to the dream that he had the night before. Genesis 20, verse 8 to 10 tells us this. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ears. And the men were sore afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, he was now going to ask Abraham 3 questions. 1, what hast thou done unto us? 2, and what have I offended thee that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And 3, he asked Abraham, what sawest thou? What is the reason that thou hast done this thing? So having asked Abraham those 3 questions, Abraham finally told the king the truth concerning his greatest fear in life. And what was Abraham's fear? This is it. Abraham's greatest fear was that he would be killed for his wife, because Sarah was so beautiful, hence the reason he told people she was his sister. Notice Abraham's admission in Genesis 20, verse 11 to 13. Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And he was now going to tell them how long he had concocted this plan. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that is in Ur of the Chaldees, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. So Abraham was the one who told Sarah to say to people that she was his sister and he was her brother. At this time, Abraham was now 99 years old, and God called him when he was 75 years old. So this plan was made 24 years ago, and this plan was still being used at the time that Abraham met Abimelech. Viewers, by his own admission, Sarah was really his sister, but that did not change the fact that a half-truth is still a full lie, because this plan was hatched with the sole intention of deceiving others concerning the true nature of their marital relationship. Notice what transpired after Abraham told the truth. Genesis 20 verse 14 to 16 says this, and Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants and gave them unto Abraham and restored him Sarah his wife. So even though Abraham found himself in a pickle, he was still being blessed. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee and with all other. Thus she was reproved. So in other words, viewers, Abimelech was saying to Sarah that she needs to wear a veil to keep her beauty under wraps when she's out in public, so that other men would not see her and want to take her to be their own if they are going to keep up this pretense that she was Abraham's sister. So it was very much an open rebuke to Sarah as well as a compliment to her beauty. And here, the Hebrew word for covering is kesuth. It occurs 8 times in scripture. It is Strong's H 3682, and it simply means a covering for concealment. It is really a veil that is used to cover a woman's face. So Abimelech was saying, you need to wear a veil because of your beauty. So the final 2 verses in Genesis 20 tells us that Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For Jehovah had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So these 2 last verses is a clear indication that God plagued Abimelech and his household with barrenness, and they were only healed after Abraham prayed for them. And this is what God had told Abimelech: restore the man's wife, and he will pray for thee, and you will be healed. So viewers, this brings us to the end of Genesis chapter 20. And the main lesson from this chapter is that honesty is always the best policy. So Abraham, because of his fear of men killing him for his wife, he came up with this plan before he left Ur of the Chaldees when he was 75. He told his wife, Sarah, that if any man asks you about a relationship, say that you are my sister and I am your brother, because Sarah was so beautiful. And remember, at this time, Sarah was at the age of 89 years old. She was 10 years younger than Abraham, and she was still turning heads. So much so that the king of Gerar went for her and took her into his own harem. And the lesson we can learn is that we should be faithful. We should be true. We should let honesty be our policy. And as a result of Abraham's deceit, Abraham's lie about his true relationship with Sarah, it almost got Abimelech in problems with God. And God had to intervene to prevent Abimelech from having a sexual relationship with Sarah. So the scripture makes it absolutely clear that Abimelech had not come near her, because God was now going to produce a miracle so that Abraham, who was going to be 100 when Isaac is born, and Sarah, who would be 90 when he was born, could produce a child in their old age. So this presentation clearly shows us that it is always best to trust in God and not lean on our own understanding, because God had promised Abraham that he would be his shield and his buckler throughout his sojourn in the land of Canaan. But Abraham, being human, having the inclination to fall into old habits, resorted to telling a half-truth so that men would not kill him for his wife. This resulted in him misleading Abimelech as to the true nature of their relationship. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And may God continue to bless us as we continue to study his words to prove all things. Have yourselves a great day.